So I didn't take a picture of it, which I highly recommend doing. So my timing might be messed up, but yeah. Do what I say, not as I do. Actually, this is not an instructional video. This is for entertainment purposes only. But still, don't do that. Take a picture of it. Now I'm gonna install the distributor. Okay. I have the lines that were pointed towards cylinder number 1. So this one was where the rotor should be pointed to begin with, and this is where it should be when it ended. It was pretty much at top dead center when I unhooked it. So let's reinstall her. Do not forget the gasket. Come on, baby. Right about there. Shouldn't have put that hose in yet. I don't think I had that right. It was right about there. There we go. And I do realize you probably weren't able to see any of that since my hand was in the way. Next step, I'm going to install the spark plug wires back on the coil. All right, actual first start. Let's see if she goes. Pretty sure my timing's off. That's not good. Trying to see if the injectors are firing. See if I'm getting fuel, because I don't. Might not be timing. So I couldn't get the truck to start. Pulled the spark wire, put the spark tester on it to see if I have spark, and now I'm going to try to turn it over. Pretty sure I got it messed up somewhere, because that was a very loud backfire. That was terrifying. Pulled the number 1 spark plug out, with my timing being that far off, I'm gonna have to put her at top dead center and start all over. Since I don't have anybody else here with me to help, I'm just gonna bar the engine over by hand on the crank bolt and see when I get on the compression. And then once I get on the compression stroke, excuse me, I'll put an extension in here and wait till it moves as far out as it can. And once it kind of stops moving, I guess, that's when it's at top dead center. So here we go. Probably should have took off the belt and all that good stuff. Just put your thumb over the spark hole. Have her at top dead center. I'm gonna pull the rotors, or the cap and rotor. Number one cylinder's at top dead center, and I just pulled the cap off of the distributor, and here's where the rotor's pointing. So I messed up and installed it wrong, because it should be pointing at cylinder number one at top dead center. So yeah, I messed up my timing. I'm gonna pull the distributor, rotate it a little bit, and then reinstall it. Once it's reinstalled, I want the rotor to be pointing at the number one cylinder. Right now it's kind of pointing straight forward. So pull it out, it rotates a little bit, then you can feel it rotate a little more. Reinstalled the distributor. It's pointing at the number one cylinder. That cylinder is at top dead center. So the timing should be zeroed out right now. So I'm gonna install a new cap and rotor, tighten or get it somewhat tight, and then see what happens. Before I knew I was getting spark and there was problems with my timing, I got a new cap and rotor. So I took both of them off, and now I'm gonna clean them. Clean the, I guess, the post that the rotor goes on, because it was pretty nasty and gross. There's just a lot of corrosion on it. That could be part of my problem, why I'm not getting a very strong spark. So just getting a wire brush and going to town on it. New rotor, just line it up. There's a notch in the bottom of the rotor and a notch in the post. Just line them up, push it on. Make sure you push it all the way down. They're kind of tight, so you got to use some convincing. I marked where the number one spark plug will go. Now I just have to line it up right here, and then put all the spark plugs back on, and she should start. Should. To get my timing right, I had my wife crank the vehicle, and I sat out here with the timing light, timed it, timed to 0. I locked down the distributor. When I was timing it, I unplugged this little port right here. This is the electronic timing wire. This is usually behind the big panel right here, so I took that off, unplugged this. Like I said, I had my wife sit in the vehicle while I sat out here and looked at it through a timing light, and we're at 0 now, so we're good to go. So I'm at the point of this project where I'm just throwing parts at her. I replaced the coil, replaced the rotor and cap. These plugs and these wires are brand new. I mean, I put them in last year and they're still perfectly good. I have new spark plugs for it, but I haven't put them in yet. I wired the remote start switch so I can sit up here and push the start button while I'm timing it. I timed it for the last hour, made sure it's exactly on 0, and she still won't start. She's backfiring a little bit after I replaced the spring, the 15 psi spring, back to the stock spring, because I thought it was flooding, and now it's kind of backfiring through the intake. So that could also mean, that could mean it's lean now. Kind of at a loss for everything. Don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm just gonna keep trying, I guess. Maybe some starting fluid. So I've checked the timing like 6 times. Replaced the coil. It does sound a lot better now, and I do have a stronger spark since I replaced the coil. I think what I'm gonna try now is to just start replacing, pull spark plugs, see what I see, start replacing them. So I pulled the plugs out of the driver's side. 7 is, I don't know if you can see that, but very wet. I don't think 7 ever fired. The rest of them don't look bad. The rest of them look like they're doing good, but 7, yeah, she obviously wasn't working right. Pulled the other 4 out of the passenger side. The only one that seems to have an issue was number 8. Was a little greasy and was a little wet. It wasn't greasy, it was wet. But I don't think spark plugs was my issue. Well, pretty sure I should have listened to everybody that was giving me advice on this. Pretty sure I was 180 out. I just swapped it, or reversed the distributor. Let's see if she starts. This will be the first start. Huh. Yep. Yep, I'm an idiot. 180 out.